In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful. Praise be to Allah. Peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad, his family and his companions. Good morning to you all in this blessed day. In this educational activities, and this is the third conference which is organized by the Ministry of Education. Welcome all of you to this workshop. We welcome our guests, Professor Jari Lavonen. He is a professor at Finland University, Helsinki University. He is a researcher for about 25 years. He spent in research in teaching and learning area. He compiled about 160 compilations in this field. He has 135 refereed papers in different journals. We will leave you with Professor Jari. We will draw your attention with regard to the questions. There is a particular number for this. You send the SMS to this number, then these questions will be presented to the professor, and he will answer them. I pray to Almighty Allah to grant us success all. On my behalf and on your behalf, I welcome Professor Jari to start his lecture, or to start the workshop.
Okay, dear Saudi experts in education, it's a great honor for me to be here and share some ideas about Finnish teacher education. I would like to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the nice introduction of me, and I'm also happy to answer your questions. Finland is in the northern part of Europe. It's about, in the area is about 1/5 of the Saudi Arab, and the population about 1/6 of the population here in Saudi Arab. The density of people is rather similar compared to Saudi, so this means that there are a lot of empty places in Finland and in Saudi. Finland has been recognized an interesting country in education, but also in addition to education, it is very welfare country. It's educational, the students are achieving high in international educational measurements. The competitiveness of the economy is good, and we have qualified labor force in our country, also exporting experts to other countries, and one of the lowest rate in corruption in Finland. So first in my presentation I will take a short look to Finnish education context. What are our general aims for education? What is the role of curriculum in Finland and assessment? And then I took a look for the teacher education, what is the main topic in my presentation. And then I make a short comparison between Finland and South Korea, because South Korea was here 2 years ago as a this kind of example country for this exhibition. So the Finnish education context. I start with one slide from the PISA research. Here in the vertical axis is the money, how much money is used for education, and the money is converted to the US dollars through the PPS conversion system. This means that the money here means what you are able to buy with the money in a country you are living. And here in the vertical axis, they are the PISA scores. In the OECD PISA measurement, 500 is the average. And if it is over 500, the country is achieving higher in the PISA. These are the results. So you can see that there is kind of light correlation between the money used for education and the student performance in PISA. However, the correlation is not high. And actually, the most high achieving countries, they are in the middle of the money use. So it is not a question of money, how much money is used for education. It's more or less how the money is used, how you invest in the education. So Finland, South Korea, New Zealand, Australia, they are in the middle of the scale, the most top performing countries in the PISA. And what is really interesting in this picture is the situation in the Nordic countries. Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, they are the Nordic countries. We are living in the same area of the world. The people are having very similar habits. The family life is very similar. And the comprehensive school is also very similar. So it's quite amazing. The more the money is used for education, the less the students gets from the PISA. So this is some kind of argumentation for my presentation. It's coming from this slide. Because the biggest difference between the Nordic countries is teacher education. Only in Finland we have had 5-year programs in teacher education. We have educated teachers in master level during the last 30 years. Other Nordic countries are following us. So maybe the teacher education is the key factor for school success in PISA. So this is some kind of background and rationale for my presentation. I have here 4 most important characteristics to our education policy. The first one is long-term policy. The most important decisions dealing with education policy were done more than 40 years ago. That time it was decided that all teachers should be educated at university level programs, master level programs. And it was also decided that all Finnish citizens should go to the same comprehensive school, the same education for all. And after that, we have not made big changes. We have followed these big ideas. The second idea is the equality. This is the most important value in our education. We are offering the same possibilities for everybody. I met yesterday the Ministry of Education here in Saudi Arabia, and he was telling a lot about the vision he has in education. And he was totally thinking in the same way. He said that we should take a long-run policy, we should give the equal opportunities for all Saudi people. So we are sharing the same big idea in education. And the third big idea is decentralization. In Finland, we are allocating the resources and decision power as low as possible. And this was also one important policy what the Saudi minister said to me yesterday. He said that we are looking for more decentralized system. However, he was saying that there must be a balance between the decentralization and some kind of centralization. In Finland, the headmasters are key persons in the education, and they are responsible for organizing the school improvement and development discussions and general assessment and schools. And teachers are respected highly in Finnish society, and that's why the Ministry of Education and all other stakeholders trust teachers. The trust is the fourth big issue in our education policy. The trust is not as such. It means that because the teachers are masters, highly educated professionals in education, and they have also the competence for lifelong learning.
إذن هنالك أشياء أساسية للعملية التعليمية التي نركز عليها.
A second idea is the local curriculum. Every school have to make a local curriculum based on the national guidelines. In those local level curriculum, the aims and learning environments and teaching and assessment methods are described.
الشيء الآخر هو أن تقوم كل مدرسة بعمل منهج يعتمد على الوضع المحلي في تلك المنطقة، وبما يدخل في ذلك مسألة تقييم في هذا المجال.
And the leadership is at the local level. The headmaster is important person for organizing the school. The leadership, how to encourage teachers, is one of the most important topic in leadership. And the headmaster is also responsible for quality control at school level.
القادة أو المدراء هم المسؤولون عن تنظيم هذه المسألة على المستوى المحلي، كما أنهم مسؤولون عن جودة التعليم.
Close collaboration with families. It's important that families are involved in education. The schools are organizing meetings with families and evaluation discussions with families.
أيضا عملية بغاية الأهمية وتتم بالتضامن معهم.
And this is the way how we educate active learners for 21st century.
وهذه هي العملية التي تتعلق بالتعليم النشئ التي نشير إليها التعليم النشئ.
So I skip some slides because there's limited time for presentation. So I go to the second topic, the national and local curriculum.
سأتجاوز بعض الشرائح بالنسبة للوقت المحدد لهذه الورشة، وإذا ننتقل إلى المنهج الوطني.
So our education system consists of a comprehensive school for grades 1 to 9, the upper secondary for grades 10 to 12, and higher education for 3+2 system.
هذا المنهج يضم المدارس في التعليم العام.
And based on the international comparative studies, it is known that in Finland the classroom size is very small. It's about 20 in average, and this means that we are totally integrating the students with learning difficulties in the same classroom, and because the small classroom size, it supports the teachers to take care also the low achieving and students with learning difficulties.
نظامنا التعليمي يعتمد المعايير العالمية، ولدينا يعني حجر أو غرفة دراسية صغيرة تحوي حوالي أو تشمل حوالي 20 طالبا، ويدرس الطلاب ذوي الأداء العالي أو المتميز مع الطلاب الذين لديهم مستوى أدنى من الأداء، ويقوم المعلم بالانتباه لهؤلاء الطلاب الذين لديهم مستوى أقل.
And about 50% of the students continue the upper secondary high school, and about another 50 goes to the more vocational oriented schools.
وحوالي 50% ينتقلون إلى المدارس الثانوية، والجزء المتبقي ينتقلون إلى معاهد التدريب المهنية والمدارس المهنية.
Let's have a look for the how we allocate school subjects in comprehensive school.
دعونا ننظر إلى كيفية توزيع هؤلاء الطلاب على المدارس وتوزيع المواد الدراسية.
And this is the total number of lessons during the comprehensive school, and about 1/3 of the comprehensive school are allocated for languages, mother language and foreign languages like English, French, Germany.
حوالي ثلث يخصص لتعلم اللغات بما في ذلك اللغة الأم واللغات الأجنبية.
And then the mathematics and science are important topics in our curriculum.
وإذا الرياضيات والعلوم هي مواد أساسية في منهجنا.
And altogether with history and social science studies and religion, this is about 1/3.
بالإضافة إلى التاريخ والعلوم الاجتماعية والدين والأخلاق.
And then the art studies, music, physical education, and these kind of things are really important.
هنالك التربية الرياضية والفنون والحرف والموسيقى.
So it's really important to concentrate to all areas of human So it is important to develop also the art side, science side, and language side, the human as a holistic
إذا
entity.
مواد تعليمية أساسية تشمل جميع أنحاء جميع العلوم الإنسانية.
In our national level guidelines, there are only very short guidelines for the whole education system, and these are examples of how we wrote those sentences in the national level.
هنالك أهداف عامة في المنهج وقد ضمناها في هذا المنهج في التعليم العام.
So you can recognize the constructivistic view of learning, goal orientation, student activity, problem solving, and learning is situational. This kind of modern view to the learning is described well in our national level documents.
أيضا ضمننا أشياء جديدة مثل إيجاد الحلول للمشاكل والتعلم النشط والتعلم في مواقف معينة والمعرفة وما إلى ذلك في مناهجنا التعليمية في التعليم العام.
And then the most important curriculum work is done at the school level. Based on this kind of general descriptions, teachers together should plan a local curriculum. So we are activating students working together and planning together the local level curriculum.
إذن المعلمون يقومون جنبا إلى جنب أو بالتعاون مع بعضهم البعض في تصميم هذا على المستوى المحلي، وأيضا يجعلون الطلاب يشتركون في تعلم التعاوني، نسميه بالتعلم التعاوني مع بعضهم البعض.
However, there are also some guidelines international level for different school subjects, and these are examples for science. There are short descriptions about the goals or aims for science teaching, and also some description about the most important topics for science.
وأيضا لا يشمل ذلك المستوى المحلي فقط، إنما هنالك سياسة لهذا المنهج على المستوى الوطني. وعلى سبيل المثال الجزء الذي يختص بالعلوم.
And I have personally made some comparative research in the education and compared these Finnish general aims to the OECD definitions of the lifelong learning competencies, and the Finnish curriculum fits very well with the OECD definitions.
تعريف التعليم من الناحية أو بسياق الفنلندي يتوائم تماما مع منظمة التعاون الاقتصادي والتنمية، مع معايير منظمة التعاون الاقتصادي والتنمية، ولدي عدة أمثلة في هذا السياق.
And then I take one slide from the assessment and skip some 4 slides away, but yeah.
تجاوزت 4 شرائح والآن أعرض الشريحة التالية لتتحدث عن التقييم في المدارس الفنلندية.
And in this slide, I'm comparing the traditional Anglo-Saxon tradition in assessment to Finnish tradition in assessment, because the traditions are totally different to assessment.
بالنسبة لي في هذه بالنسبة لي في هذه الشريحة أقوم بإجراء مقارنة بين النظام الأنجلو ساكسوني للتقييم ونظام التقييم في فنلندا الذي هو يختلف عن هذا النظام.
So this outcome-based model, it's the Anglo-Saxon model, and this input model is the Finnish model.
فنحن نركز على النتائج أكثر.
In Anglo-Saxon outcome-based model, they are describing the learning outcomes. So what the learner should know after the teaching situation.
بالنسبة للتعليم في الأنجلو ساكسوني يركز على النتائج، نتائج التعلم، وما هي نتائج التعلم بناء على العملية التعليمية.
And in the Finnish model, we are describing broad aims And then we trust that teachers are able to navigate in the classroom according to these broad aims. So we are not having so detailed descriptions.
بالنسبة لنا نضع أهداف عامة ومن ثم نتأكد من أن المعلمون يلتزمون بهذه الأهداف العامة ولا بد من تطبيقها في العملية التعليمية.
1 2 3 4.
This Anglo-Saxon model is based on the old industrial type of quality control. The idea is that you are describing well the outcome and then you are measuring how well the outcome is according to the description. And if it is not well, then you are punishing the teachers and closing the school. So it's quite old-fashioned way of thinking, in my point of view.
بالنسبة للنظام الأنجلو-ساكسوني ينبني كما قلنا على النتائج وتتم محاسبة المعلمين بناء على هذه النتائج مما يؤدي إلى الاستغناء عن بعض المعلمين وإغلاق المدارس إذا لم يتم إحراز النتائج المرجوة. هذا هو النظام.
And in Finland, we trust that professional teachers are able to plan and then assess themselves without any external heavy assessment. In Finland, yeah, the teachers are main actors in assessment. Yeah.
بالنسبة للنظام في فنلندا يكون من التقييم ذاتي للمعلمين.
In outcome-based model, it's important the national level or district level assessment, and in Finnish model, the assessment is at the school level, and teacher is then able to support the learning.
والتعلم المبني على النتائج مهم على المستوى الوطني حيث يقوم المعلم بمتابعة عملية النتائج وضرورة إحرازها.
So there are the big differences between the approach in Finland and in US. In my understanding, the US is also looking for this classroom level assessment and trying to go away from this heavy national-wide or district-wide assessment. So I'm not going to detail, but you get the idea what kind of things we emphasize in assessment and what is, for example, United States and United Kingdom emphasized.
هنالك اختلافات كبيرة بين نظام التقييم في أوروبا وأمريكا وبين نظام التقييم في فنلندا. سوف لن أدخل في تفاصيل في هذا الموضوع ولكن هنالك اختلافات كما ذكرنا.
And then we go to the teacher education because this is the main topic of my talk. This, what I have now gone through, it was the background, some kind of education context. And it is important to describe the context because teacher education is rather national and context dependent. So we are educating teachers to Finnish context.
إذن ما قدمته عبارة عن مقدمة عامة لكن الآن ندخل في صلب الموضوع وهو تعليم المعلمين وهو تعليم المعلمين سيكون أو أساسا هو تعليم على المستوى الوطني ويتم ضمن السياق الفنلندي.
So first slide is dealing with what is common in those countries where students are achieving high in PISA rankings. So what is common in teacher education in Finland, South Korea and Singapore?
بالنسبة للأشياء السائدة لتعليم المعلمين هي نفس المعايير الموجودة في سنغافورة وكوريا.
And these results are coming from the US company, McKinsey and Company, and they compared the Singapore, Finland and South Korea. And they recognize that in those three countries, the most important common issue is that teacher profession is considered as a career. It's a real career compared to medical doctor or lawyer. So it is academic career.
وقامت شركة أمريكية بدراسة هذه المعايير وفي كل من فنلندا وكوريا وسنغافورة واتضحت إلى أن المعلم هي التعليم هو أو التدريس هي مهنة مثلها ومثل المحامي والطبيب وما إلى ذلك.
And also common with those three countries is that there's very high cultural respect to the teaching and teachers. The culture respect teachers.
إذا هنالك أيضا احترام ثقافي كبير جدا لمهنة المعلم في هذه الدول الثلاث.
And one common issue is that it's very heavy selection to teach education. For example, in
أيضا هنالك يعني
it's not working.
عملية تعليم اختيار دقيقة جدا للمعلمين.
So in my university, only 5% of the applicants are accepted to teach education program. It's more difficult to come to teach education than to the medical school.
5% فقط ممن يتقدمون هم الذين يتم قبولهم فيها، إذا أصعب من أنك تصبح طبيب أو يعني ليس من السهل تدخل في مهنة التعليم.
The next slide, it's about our national aims. It is the same with the university level education. We have very short national guidelines, and then the Ministry of Education trusts universities that they are able to make their own programs. So this slide is about what kind of guidelines we have in Finland for teacher education.
الشريحة التالية عن الموجهات العامة للمعلمين في فنلندا.
So these are the most important issues. So the Ministry of Education is looking that we should have very high level teachers in the field of subject knowledge, pedagogical knowledge and pedagogical content knowledge. The first one.
الأشياء لابد أن تتوفر في المعلم حيث يجب أن يكون ملما إلماما تاما وبدرجة عالية بمادته، وأيضا لديه مهارات أكاديمية ومهارات اجتماعية، وأيضا معرفة عن المدرسة التي يدرس بها والنظام أو المعرفة الأخلاقية والمهارات في هذا السياق، وأيضا المهارات التي تكون مطلوبة لتنمية قدراته كمعلم.
So you go all.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I understand. Good. Thank you. So this is what is the European Union is looking for teachers in Europe. And this is the general description in the union documents, what kind of teachers we should educate in the European Union. And if you compare these ideas to Finnish model, so it's very close also what the union is waiting for teachers. We are not going to detail, but the idea that we are close to union.
هذه هي تقريبا المعايير المشابهة للمعايير التي يعتمدها الاتحاد الأوروبي في تعيين المعلمين.
And then, so this was the background, and now I go to the detail, what kind of programs we have in teacher education.
هذه لمحة سريعة عامة، والآن أدخل في التفاصيل وما هي البرامج التي نعتمدها في تعليم المدرسين.
So I will have a look for two programs, the secondary teacher education program, and the secondary teachers are teaching at grade 7 to 12 and typically two subjects, for example physics and mathematics, history and social science. So they are secondary teachers.
أولا البرنامج الذي يختص بمعلمي المدارس الثانوية والتركيز على مواد العلوم والفيزياء.
And then the primary and the primary teachers or elementary teachers, they are teaching at grades 1 to 6, and they are typically teaching all those 13 school subjects we have in primary level.
معلمي البرنامج الخاص بتدريب أو تعليم مدرسي المرحلة الابتدائية، وهذا يشمل المستويات من 1 إلى 6 الذين تتراوح أعمارهم بين 7 إلى 13، وأيضا يدرسون بجميع المواد.
So now I will describe how the teacher education is organized at the University of Helsinki. So we have altogether at the university 11 faculties and about 40,000 students, and there are six faculties of those 11 who are participating in teacher education.
إذن المسؤولة أو الجهة المسؤولة عن توفير هذا التدريب أو التعليم للمعلمين هي جامعة هلسنكي، وحوالي هناك حوالي حوالي 7400 من الأساتذة.
So I'm coming from the Department of Teacher Education, and I'm working as a Director of Teacher Education, and it's inside the Faculty of Behavioral Sciences. In addition to this department, we have two specialized schools which are organizing student teachers teaching practice, not the whole practice but part of the practice.
أنا أتيت من قسم تعليم المدرسين في كلية التربية، وليس هذا هو القسم الذي يختص بتعليم المدرسين، وهنالك كليتين متخصصتين في تدريب المعلمين تتبعان إلى هذه الكلية أو هذا القسم.
So the secondary teacher education is a joint program. Students are studying the pedagogy here, but then they are studying the subject. For example, they are studying physics here at the Faculty of Science and mathematics here. So it's a joint program of several faculties.
برنامج مشترك يشمل المواد التربوية وأيضا المواد التخصص التي يتم تدريسها. هنالك كلية الآداب، كلية العلوم، كلية العلوم الحيوية، وكلية التقنية، بالإضافة إلى كلية العلوم الاجتماعية.
So we think that it is very important that those who are making research in pedagogy, they are teaching pedagogy. And those who are making research in physics, they are teaching physics to the student teachers.
ونحن نتأكد من أن كل معلم يدرس في تخصصه، يكون لديه خبرة تربوية جيدة، ومن ثم يقوم بالتدريس في تخصصه.
Primary teacher education is mainly organized at our department.
بالنسبة لتدريس معلمي المرحلة الابتدائية يتم تنظيمه في قسمنا.
So let's have a look for the master level degree of a secondary teacher.
دعونا ننظر إلى هذه التقسيمات في هذه الشريحة.
Here are the study credits. One credit is equal to 26 hours of total work. And here are the subjects: major subject, minor, pedagogical studies, and some communication and language studies.
العمود الرأسي يعني يحوي الدرجات، والعمود الأفقي يحوي المواد التي يتم تدريسها.
Students are first accepted to the department of specific subject, like physics department. They are studying during the three first years, physics and mathematics, for example, history and social science, for example, and they the first part of the pedagogical studies.
يدرس
The bachelor level.
الطلاب في مستوى البكالوريوس المواد الأساسية والمواد الفرعية، بالإضافة إلى مواد التربوية، ومن ثم ينتقل إلى التواصل ودراسة اللغات.
Then they continue their studies in the master level. This bachelor is not enough. The student have to have the master. Without master, you are not qualified as a teacher. So he takes more courses in the mathematics and the rest of the pedagogical studies.
وإذا لم تكن درجة البكالوريوس كافية، فيتحتم على هؤلاء المعلمين أن ينتقلوا إلى مرحلة الماجستير ليدرسوا في نفس المجالات دراسات تؤهلهم للحصول على درجة الماجستير بعد درجة البكالوريوس يصبحوا مدرسين.
Now I would like to emphasize three most important issues in this program.
أود أن أركز على ثلاث قضايا هامة في هذا البرنامج.
First, the students are having heavy studies in the subject, and this means that they are really learning the concepts in the field and the origin of the knowledge, the epistemological and ontological issues dealing with the knowledge. And we think that if they are very qualified in the subject, then they are able to guide students for problem-solving activities at school level, activate them.
ينال المعلمون يعني معرفة شاملة ومركزة في مجالاتهم، وإذا حصلوا على هذه المعرفة بمستوى متميز فيستطيعوا نقلها إلى طلابهم من ثم.
Teaching practice it's very important part of the studies. The part of the studies is here in the bachelor level and part in the master level. And we think that it's very important for student teachers to go to the field to get some experiences from school. It's important for the development of teacher identity.
عملية ممارسة التدريس هي يعني مادة من صميم المواد التربوية التي يتم تدريسها لهؤلاء المعلمين، وهي أمر بغاية الأهمية حيث يكتسبون الخبرة من خلال القيام بالتدريس في المدارس.
It is the place where the student teachers integrate subject knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and then they learn how to plan teaching, how to assess, and they are developing own view to education. We call it personal pedagogical theory. They are applying in teaching and learning situations.
وأيضا يقومون بتطبيق هذه المعرفة في مواقف تعلمية أساسية، وهي أمر بغاية الأهمية من حيث معرفتهم بالمادة وتدريسها وأسس التقييم، حتى إذا انتقلوا إلى الواقع يصبح ذلك أمرا سهلا.
The third most important issue is the research orientation. The student teachers are making bachelor thesis here, master thesis here, and pedagogical thesis. So they make 3 research theses. And we think that student teachers need this academic orientation because they are responsible for curriculum work, they are responsible for assessment, collaborating with families, so they should be academic professionals and also make these theses.
إذن هنالك جانب هام جدا، وهي أن يقوم المعلمون ب3 أبحاث أثناء مسيرتهم التعليمية، وهذه الأبحاث أمر بغاية الأهمية حيث يكون المعلم ملما بأسس البحث العلمي في المجالات التربوية ومجالات التعليم.
And then let's have a look for the primary teacher education and the structure of the master level degree of a primary teacher or elementary teacher.
إذن ننتقل إلى معلمي أو إلى برنامج خاص بمعلمي في مرحلة الماجستير.
Here is the major subject, education or educational psychology. I will explain what is this multidisciplinary studies, and then minor and communication and language studies, and here are the study credits.
أيضا سأنتقل إلى التحدث عن هذه المواد بالتفصيل، حيث هنالك المواد الأساسية في التعليم، وأيضا المواد التي تجمع عددا من التخصصات multidisciplinary studies، وهذا هو السياق.
So they are first accepted to they are accepted to our department, and they study in the bachelor level some basic courses in education, educational psychology, history and philosophy of education, special need education, research methodology in educational research, these kind of basic courses in education.
يتم قبول الطلاب في قسمنا، ومن ثم يدرسون مواد أساسية تتعلق بفلسفة التعليم والأسس النفسية وممارسة التعليم والبحث العلمي في مجال التربية وما إلى ذلك.
And let's have a look what is this multidisciplinary studies. It is the combination of the pedagogy of all school subjects the primary teachers are teaching at a primary level. So it is how students learn physics, how students learn mathematics, what kind of difficulties they have in mathematics. So this is called the multidisciplinary studies. It is the studies of the learning of different school subjects.
الشيء الآخر الذي أود أن أتحدث عنه بالتفصيل هو دراسات التخصصات المتعددة، حيث يتعرض المعلم أو الطالب في هذه مرحلة الماجستير إلى كيفية تدريس هذه المواد مثل الرياضيات والفيزياء والعلوم والأحياء وما إلى ذلك، وما هي المصاعب أو المشاكل التي تعترض الطلاب في تعلم كل من هذه المواد وكيفية إيجاد الحلول لها.
And they are free to take the minor. It could be, for example, a combination of the history and music, or it could be the whole package of mathematics. They can decide themselves what kind of minor they would like to have.
المواد هي اختيارية هنا، ويمكن أن يوائم بين أو يختار الطالب ما هي المواد التي سيدرسها، إذا كان التاريخ والموسيقى بالإضافة إلى الفيزياء وما إلى ذلك كمواد فرعية.
So in the secondary teacher education, there were separately the pedagogical studies, and the pedagogical studies are the most important studies from the teacher profession point of view. Here, the pedagogical studies, they are integrated here to the major subject. So it's about same amount of studies in the pedagogy, we say the pedagogical studies.
بالنسبة للمواد التربوية هي تدخل ضمن المواد المتعددة التخصصات التي تتم دراستها.
And I will explain in the next slide what is the core of the pedagogical studies.
سأتحدث في ما يلي عن مكونات الدراسات التربوية.
But you can see that the primary teachers are also having 2 theses, and we think that primary teachers should also have a research orientation because they are also responsible for curriculum work and heavy student assessment at the school level. So they are also having 2 theses.
إذن في مجال الماجستير يقوم الطالب ببحثين، ونحن نرى أن حتى لمعلمي المرحلة الابتدائية لابد أن يكون هنالك نوع من التوجه البحثي بالنسبة لهم.
And they have this teaching practice also inside the major subject.
ولديهم أيضا ممارسة التدريس من ضمن هذا المنهج.
So this is the core of the pedagogical studies. This is same for all teachers, secondary teachers and primary teachers. First, the pedagogical studies are supporting the student teachers to integrate all kind of knowledge about the subject pedagogy to each student's and teacher own personal pedagogical theory they are using at the classroom.
إذن هذه هي المكونات الخاصة التي تحدثنا عنها في مجال الدراسات التربوية. لابد أن يكون المعلم ملما أو لديه معرفة تامة كما قلنا، أو معرفة تكاملية بالنسبة للمواد التي يدرسها والمواد التربوية، وهذا بالنسبة لكل المعلمين.
You go on? No, on the first one.
First.
The second one. The second issue in the pedagogical studies is that students should be aware of different dimensions of teacher profession, like social, philosophical, psychological, sociological, and historical basis for education.
أيضا لابد أن يكون الطلاب في مرحلة الماجستير ملمين بالأبعاد المختلفة بالنسبة لمهنة المعلم، مثل الأبعاد الاجتماعية والفلسفية والخاصة بعلم النفس وعلم الاجتماع والأبعاد التاريخية التي تكون هي أساسيات هذا التعليم.
So we do not have any inspectors, and this means that teachers should be somehow inspecting themselves. So the reflective skills are important. They should be able to monitor how I am working as a teacher, how I am planning, how I am teaching, and how I am organizing different kind of activities. That's why we are putting a lot of efforts to support the reflective thinking and support the student teachers to learn how to evaluate themselves, self-assessment.
إذن هنالك مسألة التقييم الذاتي، لابد أن يقوم المعلم بمسألة التقييم الذاتي لنفسه، وهل هو يؤدي مهنته بالشكل المطلوب وما إلى ذلك، حتى لما نطلق عليه نظرية النقد الذاتي بالنسبة لمجالات التربية.
And finally, pedagogical studies are supporting the potentials for lifelong learning. It's very important that you get the readiness for learning new. And this is also something that the European Union is emphasizing a lot in teacher education strategies nowadays. They are saying that all teachers in Europe should be masters, they should have a research orientation, they should be able to develop themselves further.
هذه هي السياسة الأوروبية الآن، وحيث التنمية الذاتية وتنمية الإمكانات الخاصة بالمعلم، ولا بد أن يكون لديه الاستعداد لتعلم أشياء جديدة ولتطوير ذاته بالنسبة للتعلم على مدى الحياة.
So the one topic before I end this session is the quality. So I mentioned that we are not having heavy centralized quality assurance and we are not having those inspectors. So it might be interesting for you how we are looking for high quality in education.
بالنسبة للنقطة الأخيرة قبل أن أختم هذه الورشة، نتحدث عن ضمان الجودة بالنسبة لتعليم المعلمين ببرامج تعليم المعلمين في فنلندا.
So this is actually the Department of Teacher, my office is here.
هذا هو هذه كلية أو قسم تعليم المدرسين، وهذا هو مكتبي هنا على الجانب الأيسر.
First, some general ideas for the quality. There's a lot of research nowadays in the quality assurance which are saying or arguing why we should have quality assurance in the local level, in the school level and university level, in the program level. And they said, those researchers like Wolf and Ehlers, that the people who are teaching, people who are educating, they should feel ownership for education. They should feel that this is our work, this is our job. We are able to do it as well as possible, and we should also take care of the quality. So this is coming from the new research, the idea. But we have been following the idea quite a long time.
هنالك أبحاث متعددة في مسألة ضمان الجودة. هذا الكاتب وولف وإيرلز كتبوا أنه لضمان الجودة لا بد أن تشعر أن هذا التعليم ملكك حتى تجوده بالشكل المطلوب وتضمن حصول الجودة فيه.
So we understand that quality work we are doing, it is the way how we improve education. The self-evaluation is for improvements.
والتقييم الذاتي الهدف منه هو تحسين العملية في مسألة ضمان الجودة.
However, there are certain levels. We are not having the quality assurance only in the local level. There must be different levels. There must be also the national level and the levels. So in the national levels, we have so-called audits. For example, my university is organizing audit next year. And this means that we are writing reports. We are writing kind of documents where we describe how we take care of the quality. And the auditing means that some experts outside are coming our documents, how we are making quality in education. And then they give us feedback. Maybe you have this process is working well, maybe you have to make this process better. So they are giving advices to us.
إذن الجودة لا تتعلق لا تكون مقتصرة فقط على الجانب المحلي، وإنما أيضا على المستوى الوطني. ولدينا ما يعرف بالأوديتنج أو المراجعة، حيث يكون هنالك جهات خارجية تقوم بمراجعة الجودة لدينا، ومن ثم تعطينا تغذية راجعة عن الأشياء الجيدة والأشياء التي يمكن أن نغيرها من أجل تحسين عملية ضمان الجودة.
And then we have also the university level quality office, and the quality office is supporting the departments in writing the quality documents and taking care of the quality. So they are giving information and support to the departments and faculties.
أيضا على المستوى الجامعة أو المستوى المؤسسي هنالك قسم مسؤول عن الجودة في جودة التدريس وجودة المعلمين في أدائهم لمهنتهم.
And then at the department level or even program level, maybe it's the most important issue in the quality work. We are collecting student feedback at the program level. We are also collecting the municipality feedback because the cities and municipalities, they take our students to work as a teacher. So they give feedback to us how well we are able to educate the teachers they need in the city. So this is important to collect different kind of feedback, analyze the feedback, and they make things better.
إذن هنالك الجزء الثالث، الجانب الثالث، الجودة على مستوى البرنامج، حيث نتلقى تغذية راجعة من البلديات التي توظف هؤلاء المعلمين عن أدائهم وعن أي تحسينات يمكن أن نقوم بها في هذا المجال لضمان الجودة.
And finally, there must be also interaction between the levels. So for example, the Ministry of Education is organizing meetings for deans and head of the departments in the whole Finland. So there must be this kind of discussion between the levels. So we meet the ministry people, they are discussing with us. We have heavy interaction between inside the university. We are meeting the people from the quality office and discussing. So there must be a close connection between the levels. So the levels are not separated.
هذه المستويات بينها تفاعل تام وانسجام تام، حيث أننا نتفاعل مع قسم أو الوحدة المسؤولة، وحدة الجودة في الجامعة، وأيضا نتفاعل مع الوزارة، وزارة التربية والتعليم على المستوى الوطني. تكون هنالك اجتماعات ومناقشات خاصة بالجودة. إذن هذه المستويات ليست منفصلة عن بعض.
Okay, now I will go to the final slide, and after that we can have a discussion. But this slide is some kind of self-reflection, what you are able to learn from Finnish education. So some kind of summary of my presentation. So the time is running out, so I go to that.
الجزئية الأخيرة عبارة عن تأملات عن ماذا تعلمتم من التجربة الفنلندية، وما هي الدروس التي استفدتوها من التجربة الفنلندية، لأن الزمن على وشك أن ينتهي، حيث نخصص ما تبقى من وقت للمناقشة.
So this is my message. There must be much more collaboration between professionals who are working at school, not so much competition. There must be equal opportunities for all learners, not so much private organization. There must be personalization and assessment at the local level, not so much standardization and heavy testing. There must be more trust-based responsibility, not test-based accountability. And we must trust the professionalism, not the bureaucracy.
هنالك أشياء يمكن نركز عليها في هذا المجال، أن يكون هنالك تعاون
Petti kaikki tekniikkaa. Tietokoneet ei toiminut eikä äänet eikä mitkään. Mentiin tälle traditionaalisesti. Oma tietokone.
متساوية لجميع المتعلمين، وليس هنالك مؤسسات خاصة وترعى ذلك. تكون هنالك قرارات خاصة بالتقييم على المستوى المحلي، وأيضا هنالك ثقة في مسؤولية المعلم، وأيضا مسألة التقييم الذاتي والاستماع للطلاب، وأيضا لأولياء الأمور والناس الذين يأتون من تخصصات مختلفة من أجل تحسين العملية التعليمية، وأيضا أن تكون هنالك مهنية وليس بيروقراطية في عملية التعليم.
Okay. Thank you for your attention, and now I'm very happy to answer your questions.
أشكركم على الاستماع، والآن أنا على استعداد وسعيد بالإجابة على أسئلتكم.
نشكر الدكتور على ما قدم حقيقة في ظل ضغط الكاميرا. نشكر الدكتور حقيقة يعني على تقديم هذا البرنامج في ظل حقيقة يعني الخلل الحاصل خارج عن إرادة الحقيقة في هذا اليوم. هناك حقيقة وصلت كثير من المداخلات والأسئلة سنطرحها على مسامعكم بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى. ويتفضل الدكتور مشكورا بالإجابة عليها. المداخلة الأولى: هل هناك فروق ذات دلالة إحصائية لصالح الإدارة الأمريكية مقارنة بالأنظمة المركزية؟
السؤال:
هل هناك فروق ذات دلالة إحصائية؟
Are there any statistical differences with regard to the American administration?
صالح الإدارة المركزية مقارنة بالأنظمة المركزية.
Okay. Are there any statistical differences between the decentralization administration and centralization administration?
So if we have a look for the student evaluation, if we use, for example, the PISA data, the international comparative data, and we take a look for the student outcomes, and especially the variation in performance. In Finland, the variation in student performance is the smallest in OECD countries, and especially the variation between the schools. If we divide the variation in performance between the variation in student and variation between schools, and this means that schools are very equal in Finland, and the students get the similar results, so the schools are similar. But when you go to US, because there's a heavy ranking and the punishment of those schools are not as having well, so there are the huge differentiation between the schools. So the school variation between the school is very high compared to Finland. So at least this kind of recognition could be made based on the PISA data. But you have to understand the total different approach to the quality control and assessment in Finland and US.
لابد أن تنظر إلى هذا الأمر من ناحية الفروق بين أداء الطلاب أنفسهم وبين الفروق في الأداء بين المدارس. الفروق في الأداء بين الطلاب أنفسهم في فنلندا بسيط جدا أو أدنى أو متدني. لا توجد فوارق كبيرة بين الطلاب، وأيضا المدارس. هذا هو من منظور التجربة الفنلندية. لكن طبعا إذا نظرنا إلى المسألة في الولايات المتحدة، هنالك تركيز كبير جدا على مسألة التصنيف، ومن ثم معاقبة المدارس التي لا تستوفي إحراز أو تحقيق النتائج المطلوبة. هذا هو الفرق، التركيز على الفروق بين في الأداء.
السؤال الآخر: هل تركيزكم على العمليات في المدرسة أم المخرجات؟
Do you mainly focus on the outcomes in schools؟ السؤال هو التركيز بين
التركيز على العمليات.
Are you focusing on the educational process inside the school, or are you focusing on the outcomes?
Of course, both are important. The outcomes are also important. But I think that we are balancing. The process is important, and the good outcomes are consequence of the good process. So maybe the teachers are mainly focusing to the process, supporting the students' learning. They are using formative assessment supporting for the learning. And if the process is working well, then the outcomes are also excellent.
نحن نخلق نوعا من التوازن بين العملية التعليمية والمخرجات أو النتائج. وإذا كان هنالك تركيز على العملية التعليمية من حيث التكوين، فإذا النتائج ستكون جيدة بالفعل.
يشكر سعادة المدرب ويقول أرجو أن يوضح لنا هل هناك فجوة بين درجات تقييم المعلمين ونتائج الطلاب في مدارسهم وكيف نعالج ذلك؟
Is there any variation between الأولى شنو؟ الأولى between the assessment of teacher performance and students' results?
So the teacher assessment, first at the university level, when we are educating teachers, the main assessment is how well the students are making the master thesis. This is some kind of final process outcome of the studies at the university. And then, so we are not having any national test or national evaluation of the student teachers or certificates. So it's used on the master level thesis, the evaluation. And then at the school level, okay, the teachers are assessing students and using different kind of assessment methods, for example, formative and summative assessment and diagnostic assessment. But the teachers are not as such assessed. It's mainly based on the self-assessment, self-evaluation of teachers. And maybe one of the most important assessment are the evaluation discussions once a year. The headmaster is organizing with the teacher. And when the teacher is going to this kind of evaluation discussion, he or she should write the self-evaluation, where he has been successful and where she or he has challenges. And then the headmaster is supporting to find a solution how to make things better. So teachers are not assessed in a quantitative way. It's very soft, and the main idea in the teacher assessment is the supportive assessment. We are looking support for teachers that they are able to make things better. The assessment is for improvements.
بالنسبة لتقييم المعلمين يتم تقييمهم على أساس رسالة الماجستير التي يقومون بها في الجامعة، والتقييم الهدف منه تقييم دعم، نسميه تقييم دعم. ما هي الأشياء التي تدعم هذا المعلم لأداء مهمته، وليس تقييما كميا. أما من ناحية الأداء وأداء الطلاب، فعندما يتولى المعلم مهنته يكون هنالك تقييم ذاتي، ويتم من خلال جلوس مدير المدرسة مع هذا المعلم، وليرى ما هي الأشياء التي يمكن أن تؤثر على نتائج الطلاب من خلال أدائه، وكيف يمكن تحسين تلك النتائج بناء على أداء المعلم.
بالنسبة للمهارات الأساسية التي تم توزيع المنهج العلمي لمادة العلوم، ما هي العناصر الأساسية التي تمت عليها الدراسة التي اتخذها البروفيسور، والشريحة التي اعتمد عليها، وكم المدة التي احتاجها لتقديم البرنامج؟
He's talking here about asking about the basic skills in your program for science. What is the category you depended on in your research for this program with regarding to the multidisciplinary subjects or the basic subjects.
Can you repeat the question? What is the question?
السؤال لأنه هو ما
بالنسبة للمهارات الأساسية
with regard to the basic skills
التي تم توزيع منهج العلم لمادة العلوم ما هي العناصر الأساسية
upon which the science curriculum is divided
اللي تمت عليها الدراسة والشريحة والمدة.
regarding the study and the period of study and the category upon which this study has been conducted.
So if I now understand correctly, so this is the question about the science curriculum and how different topics are emphasized there. For example, what kind of knowledge and processes and process skills and things like that, how they are emphasized in the program. So we are in the national level documents, as I mentioned, it is a short document, and there, in my opinion, based on my research also, there is a balance between the conceptual learning of conceptual knowledge and procedural knowledge, and also the epistemological knowledge. So where is the knowledge coming from? So there is this kind of balance. We are not only emphasizing the learning of concepts, learning of knowledge, but the students should learn also how to use evidence when you are arguing things, how you use concepts and models when you are explaining things. So this kind of procedural knowledge are also emphasized. And in our guidelines and teachers' guides, manuals, where they are guiding teachers to make summative assessment, they are guiding that teachers should take into account all three type of knowledge, the conceptual, procedural and epistemological knowledge, and assess them all, not only the memorizing things or like this.
بالنسبة لنا لهذه المهارات الأساسية يكون هنالك تركيز على أو نوع من التوازن بين معرفة المفاهيم واستخدام الطالب لهذه المفاهيم كنماذج ليدلل على مسألة معينة وأيضا مصادر هذه المعرفة، فلذلك هي مسألة متوازنة بالنسبة لهذه المهارات الأساسية في مقرر أو في منهج مادة العلوم.
السؤال: ما أهم الوسائل لرفع مستوى الدافعية والانتماء لدى المعلمين لمهنهم في التدريس؟
What are the main factors of اللي هي professionalism مهنية and a sense of belonging to with regard to the teachers.
وسائل أساسية لرفع دافعية المعلمين انتمائهم للمدرسة.
Yeah, what are the main what are the means for raising the sense of belonging and professionalism of teachers?
So how to support student teachers to develop their professionalism?
And a sense of belonging to the school where they work.
Is this question about the teachers or students?
Teachers, of course.
And how we are supporting them to develop the professionalism?
Yes, what are the means that are used?
Means.
Yes,
Yeah.
means.
Okay. This is the question, where is the teacher knowledge coming from? How the student teacher learn the knowledge? And there are maybe the two main point of view to that question. First, are we discussing about professional knowledge or the academic knowledge, where it's coming? And then the question, are we discussing about the practical knowledge and is the knowledge coming from the practice? So in our discussing, when we are planning the program for teacher education, we try to find a balance in these two areas. How we are supporting the student teachers learning from academic books and from lectures and workshops. And then how to support them for learning from practice. And in the learning from practice, in teaching practice, the reflective thinking is important and the support for reflective thinking. So it's important to find balance between these two kind of epistemological view to teach knowledge.
نحن نوازن بين المعرفة التي يكتسبها المعلم من حيث المعرفة المهنية والمعرفة الأكاديمية، ومن ثم المعرفة التي يكتسبها أثناء قيامه بالتدريس الفعلي. وأيضا نركز على مسألة النقد الذاتي والتأمل من أجل تحسين مستوى المعلم في هذا السياق، بالإضافة إلى الدعم الذي نوفره له حتى يؤدي مهمته على الوجه الأكمل. نعم.
احنا انتهينا الآن. إذا ممكن ناخذ نقطة 5 دقائق سلم الشهادات.
طيب. They have finished now, but we'll take 5 minutes to give you a certificate or something.
الأطروحة في هذا اليوم المبارك، وحقيقة يعني نعتذر لجميع الإخوة الذين لم تعرف مشاركاتهم واستفساراتهم وأسئلتهم خلال هذه الورشة، ونستأذن الدكتور حقيقة في تسليم الشهادات لحضور هذه الورشة. أشكر لكم حقيقة تفاعلكم وحضوركم ومشاركتكم وإثراءكم لهذه الورشة. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد.
We thank Professor Jari very much for his distinguished presentation, and we thank all the people who attended here, and we apologize for those who we were not able to answer their questions, and now we give him the opportunity to provide the participants with certificates.
سالم عبد الله، تفضل. محمد عبد الله الشريف، فهد صياح الشراري، فهد الشراري، الشراري موجود. عيد إبراهيم السويدن، غلط الاسم. اي اسف. كويس. عيد. سالم عبد الله الشافاني، سالم موجود. سالم. فرحان الشراري، فرحان موجود. ناجي العتيبي، استاذ ناجي. محمد محارب الرويلي، هاني عثمان، استاذ هاني تفضل. سعود نهار شمري، تفضل يا استاذ سعود. عادل، عادل ابو بكر، استاذ عادل. عبد الله راشد، عبد الله عادل راشد، تفضل استاذ عبد الله. استاذ علي بن عبد العزيز المتعب، استاذ حسين سعود العواد، استاذ حسين. احمد سيد، ايوه. خليف محمد كويشان، استاذ خليف. الاستاذ مشعب، استاذ مشعب، استاذ مشعب موجود. علي بن صالح القيدان، استاذ سامي بن فهد المطيري، عبد الله الحلبي، عبد الله عوض الحلبي، استاذ عبد الله. استاذ عبد الله المقبل، استاذ عبد الرحمن المقبل. استاذ عبد الرحمن النافع، استاذ محمد عبد الرحمن الحوم، استاذ احمد السودان ومحمد عسيري. حسين، أستاذ حسين الحسين، علي بن ظافر الشيري، أستاذ علي بن ظافر الشيري، صالح سالم، سهيل بنجر، أستاذ سهيل تفضل. أستاذ عبد الرحمن نافع، أستاذ ناصر حقباني، يحيى الجبار، يحيى الزاحمي، حياك الله. يحيى المالكي موجود. عوض الزاهر، أستاذ عوض الزاهر.
طيب احنا اللي ما طرح اسمنا.
بسام، بسام